Go ahead and get started. Well, good evening, parents. My name is Dr. Mike Roberts. I'm the principal here at A. Wright Middle School, and we're excited to have you guys here for this GATE information night. And to get started here, I'm going to introduce Dr. Claire Finneran, the Assistant Superintendent of Education here for Las Virgenes Unified School District, and she'll get us started with our program this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. Welcome, everyone. We had a record number of signups for tonight's information night, and we are so glad to welcome you to the GATE program information night. And so pleased with your interest in this program. It is one of the hallmark programs of Las Virgenes Unified School District, and I'm so proud that it falls under my purview. Tonight, what we're going to do is a brief welcome and introductions. We're going to talk about gifted characteristics. And what we mean by that are characteristics that are shared among children that are identified as gifted. We're going to talk about the GATE program mission. We're going to talk specifically about what the GATE program looks like at A.E. Wright. We'll talk about your next steps and our next steps. And then we'll turn it over to the Association of GATE Parents for some information to share with you. And then we'll have some question and answer time. We're going to move into introductions tonight.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Rinaldi. I am currently teaching the 6th grade students. I teach ELA, social studies, and science.
Hello, I'm next. I'm Julie Peck. I also teach ELA, social studies, and science to wonderful 7th graders.
Hi, I'm Juliana Servin West. I teach science to 7th and 8th graders.
Hi, welcome. I'm Haley Tepper, and I teach 7th and 8th grade language arts and social science.
Good evening. I introduced myself just a minute ago, but I'm Dr. Mike Roberts, principal here at A. Wright.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gia Jantz, and I am the very proud assistant principal at A.E. Wright.
Hi, everyone, again. Just want to say thank you again for being here with us, and thank you for bearing with this incredible time that we are experiencing, and thank you for your participation in your students' education. We will go ahead, Dr. Roberts.
Yeah, before I was looking at it right now, she'll be popping up here in a little bit, but also we have Erin Merritt. She's the president of our GATE Association Parents, and she'll speak to you guys in just a little bit as well. Erin, you want to say a quick second or anything?
Hello, welcome. Glad you're here.
Perfect, thank you. So if you guys can do me a favor and take a quick look at this picture here. For a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. If you notice there, you see quite the different variety of animals. And so what we want to do is what made this embody the GATE program is a little bit is not all children are the same, and it's not fair to hold them to the same standard or teach them the same way. So gifted children benefit from a learning environment that is created for their needs. And that is one of the things that we want to share with you tonight about the importance and how we nurture and try to care for the gifted students as they might do their journeys here at A. Wright in our program, and how this program might best meet their needs. So over the next 30 minutes or so, please take a good time here and think about the characteristics. Does this meet the needs of your child? Will they fit well in the program? Will they be excited? Will it make them grow as learners? And is it going to fit all their needs here? And with that, I am going to turn it over to Mrs. Rinaldi, and she's going to start explaining some of the characteristics.
Hi, so I'm Rebecca Rinaldi. I'm going to start with some of the characteristics that you might be wondering, is my student or my son or daughter a right fit for this program? So some of the characteristics that we commonly see with students in our program are students tend to be perfectionist. They might have heightened sensitivity. They enjoy being a problem solver. They enjoy abstract thinking. They might be observant, inquisitive. They're asking lots of questions. They have excellent reasoning skills. In my class, I like to call them loophole experts. They kind of can work their way through anything. They tend to learn quickly. They might have intense interests in maybe certain subject areas or certain things outside of school. Sometimes they might overreact. They tend to have some emotional sensitivities sometimes, and they might be critical of their self and others. So in addition to that, you might be thinking, okay, is my student gifted or are they bright? And sometimes students can be both. They might be bright and gifted, but sometimes they're gifted and maybe not fitting the other category. So a bright child works hard to achieve, and the gifted learner knows without working hard. A bright child enjoys school. The gifted learner enjoys self-directed learning. And in our classes, often we will do some projects or have choice in our learning where they can kind of make their own decisions and choose their own paths. A bright child has a fine imagination. The gifted learner uses that imagination to experiment with ideas and hunches. So we might take their learning and apply it somewhere else. So in our GATE classes, we use universal concepts to do that. So some work habits and academics, some characteristics of gifted students. So gifted students might be those fast learners. They might have excellent memory. So we don't need to spend a lot of time on the rote kind of vocab or quick stuff like that. They might have an unusually large vocabulary already and complex speech. They might have advanced comprehension of word nuances, metaphors, and abstract ideas. They enjoy problem solving and numbers. We like to kind of incorporate that even in ELA, social studies, and science. They ask insightful questions. They might have a longer attention span or intense concentration on something they're very interested in, but they also might be preoccupied with their own thoughts. So they might be interested in whatever they're thinking and they don't care what else is going on. So they might be considered a daydreamer sometimes. Makes profound connections, thinks outside the box, has a highly developed curiosity, and they might have a keen or unusual sense of humor, or maybe they even tend to kind of gravitate towards adults more often and have the sense of humor that maybe adults can connect to. They might have a vivid imagination as well. All right, I'm going to pass this.
Up
I'm
next
sorry,
is Mrs. Stepper.
Hi. Okay, so we just heard a lot about some of their work habit and academic related characteristics. I'm going to talk now a little bit about some of the unique social emotional characteristics that we see with our GATE students. I won't read you this whole list because it's long, but I'll let you take a look at it. And you may notice some of these commonly seen attributes are positive, some not so positive, not as positive. We know as parents that these are the characteristics that make our gifted students unique and make them who they are, but they can also be challenging at times to manage as a parent. I think one of the most important aspects of our GATE program at AU Wright is that all of the teachers have been trained, and we're aware of these attributes, and we've been trained and taken classes and courses and gone to conferences so that we are familiar with how to manage them and how to steer them, the not so positive ones, into being positive attributes. Our program mission will be to assist our students in becoming individuals who are able to take self-initiated action, accept responsibility, capable of intelligent choices, independent learning, problem solving, articulating their point of view in an intelligent and respectful way. And these are all skills that are crucial at the time when our students are in middle school. They're at that age where they're headed to high school, and this is a safe place where we can develop a lot of these important skills. So how do we do that is the question. Many ways. Just looking at our instructional foundation, if you've read about gifted learners, these words probably look familiar to you. Of course, acceleration, sort of tying them all together. This is the ability to move ahead, to move maybe quicker through some of the, like what Mrs. Rinaldi was saying, some of the more foundational skills. And we use a lot of novelty. We're able to, because we can move quicker sometimes, we are able to spend more time doing, introducing nuance, games and songs and live interactive experiences. We do a lot of simulations in our history classes. We take field trips, and we just are presenting the material and the curriculum, the same curriculum that all the middle school students are getting, but we have novel ways to introduce those. Depth and complexity are a really important tenet of any gifted education program. This follows the work of Dr. Sandra Kaplan, who's an author and professor at USC's School of Education. She literally wrote the book. She wrote the framework on depth and complexity for gifted learners. All of us have had the wonderful opportunity to attend conferences and trainings that she's led. So depth and complexity really is just a way to kind of engage in a deeper study with our curriculum, look at it with a different lens. We're prompting our students constantly to look at a topic in a new way, to go beyond that surface level. An example I'm going to give you from my 8th grade US history class, maybe instead of something like comparing and contrasting, Lincoln and Washington as presidents, we might use this idea of depth and complexity, and we're going to compare and contrast the ethical dilemmas that they faced as presidents. And then we might bring in where and how that would be similar to ethical dilemmas that might appear in today's world that our leaders today are dealing with in the US or even internationally, and just take it that extra step. We look at things like how ideas and concepts have changed over time, patterns and big ideas, how things apply across different disciplines. So the structure of our program, just like all 3 middle schools in Las Virgenes, your student attends 6 classes. In our GATE program, 3 of those classes are within the GATE cohort, meaning they're with the same students and often the same teacher. So right now our 6th graders have Miss Rinaldi for all 3 subjects, language arts, social studies, and science. In 7th and 8th grade, they have the same teacher for sure English and social studies. And then science, they're with the same students, but maybe not necessarily the same teacher. And that depends on the year as well. A really important facet of the program is that they're with their like-minded peers. So you saw on the list of characteristics, one of them is that sometimes these students tend to feel like they're different. They don't fit in. We're putting them all together in the same room. So they're with like-minded peers who they see a lot of the similarities in their personality and things that might have been considered unique. They're with other students that share those qualities. Our math instruction is leveled and students take a placement exam. That is fluid. They move in and out of levels depending on need. And then the PE and elective classes are interspersed with our general population of students.
Up next is Mrs. Peck to discuss what does GATE instruction look like.
Yeah, I'm happy to pick this up from Mrs. Tepper. As Mrs. Tepper was saying, we do cover, in terms of standards, we're covering the California Common Core standards, just like every other public school in California. But we're laying, like Mrs. Tepper said, an abstract layer on top of those standards to introduce rigor. And I like this word that Mr. Gleason used a few years ago, vigor, into the curriculum as well. So one of the ways that we do that is through project and problem-based learning. So you'll see there on that slide, I won't read the pictures all to you, but the first 2, I believe up there you can see that there are all kinds of found materials that the students have put together to try to solve a problem that faced people in history. So I believe the top 2 pictures have to do with Mesopotamia, and then the bottom 2 pictures have to do with Mayan culture. And they
Oh, it looks like Miss Peck is frozen on us. Ms. Tepper, could you help out with this slide here? Or Mrs. Rinaldi?
Sure, absolutely. So I think what she was saying is the project and problem-based learning. The students, we use inquiry, so inquiry-based, and this is you can also see in action here that we're integrating integrating social studies and language arts together. So they're writing, they're reading informational materials, they're conducting a scientific experiment. So we're really meshing those three subjects together. You still frozen? Okay. These are just some examples of various techniques that we're using in our 3 GATE classes. Ms. Rinaldi, you want to pipe in on any of this?
So in social studies, language arts, and science, we can incorporate a lot of things. So I teach all 3 of these subjects, so I can kind of blend things how I want. I tell them I'm in charge. But we can do writing across the subjects. We can also connect things in language arts, social studies, and science. So for example, the slide you saw before was Mesopotamia. So that was a social studies unit, but we were connecting some science and engineering. And then we were also writing and doing plans and different things to connect the language arts piece to it. And also connecting our universal concept of change and over time. So it was a way we can connect all 3 subjects and make some connections. So some things in social studies we do lots of research, simulations, interactive units. In language arts, we do book clubs and discussions. Tomorrow, our class is doing a Socratic seminar. We're going to attempt a Socratic seminar virtually tomorrow, see how it goes. We do lots of arts integration as well, and that can go in all 3 areas. Science, labs, creative scientific models. And so in class, we do maybe 3D models and 2D models. So virtually we can do 2D and 3D models. Today, in my class, we did an engineering task. We were looking at early humans. So we created tools based on whatever materials they could find in nature. And if they were not allowed to go outside in nature, we found things around the house that they could create a tool with. So we connected the science engineering piece with social studies. So we can connect a lot of these things and also use Bloom's taxonomy to kind of push the thinking up higher as we work through things.
One of the favorite things that I enjoy when I walk into a lot of the classes when they do have their Socratic seminars and debates is the students on one side of the topic and debating each other. And it's always fun to watch the kids come up with some of their research and their arguments and their facts that they go at it, and they take it to heart. They get intent. They're looking serious. They're like, oh, we're gonna win this debate. We're all into it. And so it's always one of my favorite things just to sit back and watch them have their little debates as they get into that.
I can tell you a little bit about that middle picture if you want, because that was a really fun day. Sorry, you jumped ahead. I'm jumping back one slide. But we did, that's my class in the middle. We were reenacting a Supreme Court decision. I gave them some Supreme Court decisions they did not know the outcome of, and they had to act as the Supreme Court. You can see my Chief Justice at the head of the table there. And then they had to discuss the evidence and come up with the court decision. And then I let them know how the court actually decided. So that was a lot of fun and very educational.
I would add to that the concept of debating and Socratic seminars, probably a unique characteristic of a GATE student is that they would be able to take both sides of the debate, and not that they wouldn't have passion for one side, but a GATE student would definitely have the capacity to argue both sides.
And then here's just some examples of some of the work that they do. Figuring out the power words and how they can relate to a lot of different topics, stuff that might have happened through history, because they'll try to tie, that's where they get a lot of that tie into the US history or the history and the language arts, how they try to do that with their speeches, debates, and some of those types of topics. So up next is Mrs. West, Servant West, to continue with this.
So one of the other things that is really wonderful about teaching science, in particular with GATE students, is there are some new science standards. And those science standards really focus on students being scientists, which ties in fantastically with GATE students thinking like disciplinarians. So they're getting to behave like scientists by asking questions and defining problems. And then one of the advantages in the GATE classes is we give them a little bit more freedom to design their own labs and do their own investigations so that they're able to learn more about the world authentically through their own actions. And then the cross-cutting concepts we use to look at science through also tie in really nicely with the universal concepts that are actually inspired by Gates' universal concepts. So they're able to look at things like stability and change to understand the world around them more closely, and then to connect all of their different sciences. Instead of just thinking about it in terms of physics, they can think about it in terms of how is physics, biology, chemistry, and earth science and space science, how do all these things connect, and how do all of these things affect me? And then one of the other fantastic advantages we have in the GATE program is we get to do these wonderful field trips. The field trips do vary based on our curriculum and availability and student interest, but here's a list of some of the different field trips that students did last year. I just want to highlight 2 of the field trips we went on, just so that you can see how they connect to our curriculum. So students regularly visit the Museum of Tolerance, which ties in really well with the 8th grade curriculum. They study US history and slavery. They also read the Diary of Anne Frank. And there's some great connections in the exhibits at the Museum of Tolerance. So they're really able to see what they've been learning in class come to life in another way. We also have been going to USC, where they'll do physics demonstrations for us, and students get to talk to physicists currently doing research and see what that is actually like in the real world, and pick the brains of very, very intelligent people who have been working really hard in their various fields of study, so they can see what it's really like being a scientist. Obviously, field trips might look a little bit different this year, but we're really proud that we've actually been able to have 2 virtual field trips already. We had Chivalry Today come out on screen, dressed up in full suits of armor, and they were talking about where the different vulnerabilities in the armor were, and they were showing off to the students, and I just had a great time. We also had America's Teaching Zoo, which, if you're not familiar with, that's the teaching zoo at Moore Park College, come out and bring out a whole bunch of their different animals and teach our students about the different traits they had, and they were just so overjoyed to see all of these different animals walked out in front of them, so it felt a little bit more engaging.
One of the biggest questions that we get is, what's the difference between honors, college prep, and GATE? So we try to put a little bit of a slide here together. So your college prep is your, our general path that most of our students take on campus, traditional schedule, completely based on the student's needs. Whatever math class, language arts class, elective, it's the vast majority of our campus as a whole. Then you have honors. Honors continues to follow a traditional schedule, but they might differentiate the curriculum a little bit here. They might choose a few different stories that they might read. They might read a few additional stories compared to what the vast majority. But the students there are, I always like to consider them, they're very task oriented. If you give them a list of assignments or projects that they need to do, they'll be very quick to get those done, because they want to move quickly and they can take care of those things there. What we currently offer in 7th and 8th grade is English and social studies as an honors. And to get into those, it's usually a teacher recommendation, and we do look at their test scores. When it comes to the GATE program is 6th through 8th grade. The GATE classes are the English, social studies, and science, their cohort. And to get in there, you have to take the IQ test to be part of the program. GATE difference from honors. GATE, they do a little bit more project-based and a lot more discussion, and it's just they're a little bit of a different field, but I'm going to let Mrs. Tepper share just a little bit. She's taught the honors and the GATE courses on both of them same year. She might be able to give you just a little bit more detailed on some of those there.
Sure. And I'm going to go back also to what Mrs. Rinaldi said. I think that, we're talking about, honors students or GATE students. There's a huge overlap, and, sure, do we have, gifted students in our honors program? Yes. Do we have high achieving, task-oriented students in our GATE program? Absolutely. A lot of overlap. It's really about finding the right fit for your student. Just a really concrete example I like to give when parents pressure me with, really, no, we need to know the difference. Which one should we do? It's a difficult decision. And we're lucky that we have both these programs, truly. I think a good example I can give in my, say, college preparatory class, I'm going to use verbs. I love English and grammar. So verbs, we're going to spend time doing what the Common Core Common Core standards say about what every 6th, 7th, and 8th grader should learn about verbs. And we're going to do that, as creatively as we can. It's not to say that they're not doing novelty and songs and fun things in the college preparatory and honors classes, but we're going to stick to the foundations and getting that mastered. In honors, we kick it up a notch. Like Dr. Roberts said, maybe they're reading higher level texts, higher lexiles. With my honors class, I'm learning about verbs. Maybe we speed through it quicker. So we are able to sort of dip into the following year. What are they going to learn about verbs the next year? How can we sort of study this on a broader basis, deeper level? In GATE, we kind of go that whole other abstract thinking out of the box. We're going to create our own verbs. We're going to invent verbs ourselves. We've studied the endings and what they look like, and we've mastered it quickly. And so we kind of invent our own verbs and come up with different ways. I had last year in my class, we were learning about participles, and somebody kind of asked, hey, is there ever a participle where the past participle, like amazed or excited, doesn't mean the same thing as the root verb? And so we went off on this tangent for like a week. We were in this challenge zone of trying to find, a past participle that had a different meaning. And we did, and it was wicked, just for your reference. So to wick away does not mean the same thing as wicked, right? Whereas other past participles like amazed and excited do. So that was just a very student-led, inquiry-based tangent we went off on and spent about a week kind of trying to research that.
Okay, thank you. So in summary at the GATE program, probably the biggest thing that I would say, just to summarize, is every time I ask students what do they like about the GATE program, it is, I'd say 7, 8 out of 10 times, the kids say, I feel at home. I feel like I'm with peers that are like-minded, and I just love being in the class because it challenges me, love my teachers, but it's mainly they love being in the class that challenges them with somebody else that thinks similar to them. And so our teachers do a great job at fostering their needs, challenges them, gives them the skills that they need to be successful and to move forward and be ready for that. I did have one question that popped up in the question chat that I think ties into this pretty well here. What happens to kids after A Right, when they go to high school? And a lot of our students, when they leave A Right, we get a big portion. They go, half goes to Calabasas, half goes to Agora. And a lot of the kids will take the AP courses at Calabasas and the IB courses at Agora. And the kids that are there, and Erin can speak about that because she has a kid at the high school. But a lot of the kids say, man, these courses really prepared me for the challenges that these AP and IB classes were at the high school. And I felt very successful moving into there to where like I didn't feel like I was behind, but I was ready for the challenges of these courses here. So that's just one of the things that the kids move on to it. Some kids, they go into high school and they take different paths, that they love the music platform and they dive into music and get into there. But this gives them a lot of the skills that they need in life to navigate, to work with peers, and to go through a lot of those types of things there. So that's just a little bit of the summary that that when they leave the GATE program, they are really ready to move on and be successful from there. So next steps here. So next steps, many of you have already started to sign up for the GATE testing. The link was in the email that went out to you guys. The test site is on through our district website. When you log on to the lvusd.org, you'll be able to go to the GATE testing and find that in there. It is down tonight because they're going to a new platform tomorrow that's going to give parents more options to select different timeframes to go from there. And you'll have the option to sign up. So the students will come to either A Right to be tested, White Oak Elementary, or in some cases we do some of the tests in the district office, but most of them are at A Right and White Oak. Some of them are during the school day, and we are working to notify the 5th grade teachers that if a student is missing class for that they will be excused and do have a chance to make up that work. Our school psychologists are doing COVID protocols. They got face shields, mask on. There's a barrier between the student and the psychologist. The students are wearing masks, and between each test, they go through there and they wipe down the tables and clean the area and have the doors open. Very safe environment. Did testing over the summer with this platform at the end of it, and been testing kids already as well. Once testing is completed for all the kids that signed up, we plan to have those done hopefully by the end of the year, depending on numbers, and then we will start sending out notifications in January. One of the parts I missed there is once you sign up for it, there will be a parent self-assessment of the child that you will fill out and submit that, and they go from there. One of the questions that does pop up, what do I need to do if my child does not attend AE Right? For an example, you're in the district and you go to Chaparral and you're supposed to go to AC Stell the following year. You will apply for a school of choice permit, and that permit will, you're basically asking to come to AE Right for that program. So the only ones that do not really need to apply for a permit is if you go to Lupin Hill, Round Meadow, or Sumac. If you're a parent of one of those schools and your child takes the GATE test, you don't have to do anything else if they get accepted in the program, but just accept that you want to be inside that program there. But if your child is supposed to go to either Lindero or AC Stell with one of your feet, whatever the elementary school is, and it's not AE Right, you do need to apply for a permit, a school of choice permit within the district. And then that date there is the last date to apply for that is usually, it's February 1st in the slide. One person, what is the latest date? So you'll get the notification there. It doesn't mean you so one of the biggest confusions we get here, and I'll try to clarify this here is, so if you're still considering, because in February, we're gonna have a GATE accepted showcase night in February. So one of the things that we need is if you get accepted and you're really considering it, we need you to fill out the permit to try to come to AE Right. It does not bind you that once you submit that permit that you're absolutely going to AE Right. It just helps with the process of going through there, that if you do choose, you have that process already started. If you do apply for it and you decide that the GATE program is not the right fit for you, we just withdraw the permit and you go to your next school of choice or your next school that you have in there. So permits for in district does open up November 23rd and it will close February 1st. And so you would apply for the school of choice. Allie Lloyd, who is our permit person at the district office, she can help explain some of those questions if you do have some of those there. And her information is on the district website as well.
Okay, this is me, back to me. So we know that you have many more questions than we can possibly answer tonight, and probably new ones that have arisen since we've been speaking. So we wanted to invite you via social media to please follow us. We all are pretty active on social media, and we are posting what we're doing in our classrooms. You know, like Miss West said, it's a little bit atypical this particular year, but we're still posting actively. So you can kind of just get a little taste in the next few weeks of what's happening in GATE world at AE Right, if you're wondering if this is the right placement for your child. So go ahead and take a picture of that slide. We have our official GATE Twitter, and then the 3 different teachers we are tweeting as well. Also, our GATE website is fabulous, and our parents, our parent group is wonderful about posting. We have a newsletter that they create with all kinds of information, and there's how you get to that. So just through our main AE Right webpage, you'll see a tab for GATE with all kinds of links on there.
Perfect. Up next, finally, we've got Erin Mayer, who's our president of the Association of GATE Parents, and she's just going to speak a little bit about what they do for the program and how they help build that community.
Hi, everybody. As Dr. Roberts said, I'm Erin Mayer. I have 2 kids. One is in 10th grade at Agora High. He went through all 3 years of the GATE program at AE Right. And I also have a 7th grader in the program right now in Miss Tepper's class. And this is my 2nd year as the chair of the Association of GATE Parents. And it's an association of all parents, of everyone that has a child in GATE. So everyone's invited and welcome and part of it. And our mission is just to support the GATE program by building partnerships between the parents, the teachers, and the administration. And basically, we're there to provide parent support through communication. So as Ms. Tepper mentioned, we have a newsletter that goes out every probably 8 weeks or so and as needed. And you are welcome to go on the website now and subscribe, and you'll receive the newsletter. You can opt out, opt in, whatever. But you can see, I think there's also some older versions there, so you can see kind of what we do. We also have parent reps for each grade that communicate with the teachers and liaise between the teachers and the parents. And we also have social events that we plan for the students and the parents and educational opportunities. So for example, coming up at the very beginning of November, we have our parent meeting, our Association of GATE Parents meeting, where we go over our calendar and do our business. And then we have a parent education session. So we have a really great parenting coach coming. She had a gifted child go through our program, and now she gives lectures on staying calm. So that's the focus of our parent ed coming up. I think it's November. It's coming up really soon. Anyway, then for the social, normally we would have a really amazing night at the stadium in Westlake where the kids go kind of wild. Obviously that's not happening. So we planned an online by grade Sherlock Holmes mystery night. So that's what we're doing to try to keep the community going even under these circumstances. But we have great activities throughout the year. We have a holiday event, we do social action. And as Ms. Tepper said, feel free to visit our page. It's within the GATE tab that she mentioned on the AE Right website. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's it for the presentation. There is a few questions that there are, so you could, if you have some, you can try to put those on the question and answer, and then there's some in the chat box. We'll try to answer some of these here. There's some questions about the permit process. So permit and accepting numbers. So this year in our 6th grade cohort, we have 76 students in that cohort. We had a few kids that did qualify at the very end, but we did max out at 76 this year, which is a great number. Mrs. Rinaldi is doing a fantastic job with all these kiddos in her class there. But we try to take as many and all the kids that we get into the program. If we had 90, we would take 90 into the program. We try to balance out the numbers between the number of sections. So don't turn away too many, the best that we can there. So the more the merrier, because we want to have that right fit for the kids in their program. So, but we do try to balance out our classes and make sure that that does meet there. There is a few people that are asking questions there on trying to apply for a permit outside the district. So if you are outside the district and you're on this webinar, what you would need to do is you need to apply for a release from your district, and that usually, especially if you're in LA Unified, starts on February 1st. You apply for that permit or release February 1st from there. And then at that point, once LA Unified would release you, then you can submit into the GATE testing process here in our district, and then we will get you tested into there. And once if you get accepted into Las Virgenes and qualify through the test, then you get to be placed in that program. If you apply for the school of choice, if you get in, so the question here is, if I take the IQ test and I qualified, am I automatically in? And the question, if you score high enough on the IQ test and you qualify, then you're automatically into the program. It's just a matter of you saying yes or no. But if you say yes, we'll try to put those in there. Ms. Tepper, I'm going to ask you to answer this one here. Okay. How does the homework load compare to more traditional education path or compared to the honors program?
Okay, I think it's really, homework is really teacher dependent. And oftentimes in the GATE program, the homework might look different. It's not to say we have less or we don't have it, but it might look different. It might be finishing up some classwork. It might be doing some research. It might be preparing for a discussion. So I think it varies depending on the teacher. And I can say, and for a lot of years I taught 6th grade honors. And in comparison, I think it's pretty comparable. I don't think we can say that one program or even one middle school has more or less, it's very comparable across the board.
Okay. One of the questions is, what percentage of applicants are generally accepted in the GATE program? That varies year to year, just depends on if the student qualifies in there. I could say last year, I believe we had, if I remember right, about 200 students that applied for the 200 and some students that applied for the test. And we probably had like 90 some that qualified. So some that qualified chose not to come to the program. And so right now we have 2 cohorts that split up in that 6th grade.
Dr. Roberts, can I pipe in one thing I just wanted to say too?
For it.
About, yes, the IQ test is important, but just also wanted to say that we are considering multiple measures. We are looking at a variety of test scores. In addition to the IQ test, we look at CASP scores and RENSTAR scores. We take into consideration teacher recommendations from the 5th grade teachers and grades in academics. So it's we're looking at a big picture.
I'm happy to tackle a few of the district level questions, Dr.
Okay.
Roberts, if that
Go
helps.
for it. I'm trying to
Great.
just funnel through some.
Yeah, I jotted some themes down if that helps, but
Perfect.
let me just jump in on a few of the district level ones. A couple of questions about elementary level GATE programs. We do not in Las Virgenes have an elementary GATE level program. There are no plans right now for that, partially because research demonstrates to us the benefits of heterogeneous grouping, especially in younger grades. So that's not something that's on the table for Las Virgenes right now. That was a question that was asked. Additionally, there are several questions about college. I love that you're thinking about college as your kids are preparing to go into middle school. Take a deep breath. It's all going to be okay. Yes, you will find a college that is a great fit for your gifted student. There are not schools that have there are schools that are known to serve students who are gifted, but I'm not familiar with schools that in terms of colleges that have a particular gifted track. There are honors programs and honors colleges at a number of schools that would look similar to your experience with gifted education in Las Virgenes. Couple of other things, some questions about our other middle schools. So there will be middle school information nights. Dr. Roberts, I don't know the dates of those, but we can certainly get those on our website and answer parents' questions that way. Another question was related to other middle schools and do they, in Las Virgenes, and do they have a GATE program? No, A-Right is the only one that has the GATE program. Oh, there was a great question about equity in the GATE program and referencing the New York Times recent podcast, Nice White Parents. Just finished that podcast last week. What a listen. Thank you for raising that point. And part of what we have to do proactively is make sure that all of our students we want to test as many students as we can. And so we attempt to reach out as frequently as we can. We work through teachers, we work through parent communication, through principal communication to try and get as many students assessed. As far as the demographics of the program, I don't have those off the top of my head, but happy to answer those if you call A-Right or call my office here at the district office. Questions about special ed services. So students who have IEPs and 504s, absolutely. We have students who have IEPs and 504s that are well served in the GATE program. And then there was another question, Dr. Roberts, that someone should probably take on, which is maybe you, which is, can you transfer out? What if you don't like it? How does that work?
So typical, if the student enrolls into it, they stay on there for the whole year. So we ask that they do a 1-year commitment, but if at the end of that 1-year commitment, the program's not the best fit for them and they feel like they need to go a different route, then students can opt out at that time. We have had students come in, so sometimes we get space open, and so kids test like in 7th or 8th grade, and then they can start the year in that program there. So we do testing for 7th and 8th graders coming in, but yeah, there is times that kids, it's not the right fit for them, and they choose to go out, but that's usually they must make the full year commitment in the program.
And they do automatically stay in the program in 7th and 8th grade. That was a question that came up.
Yep.
And there was another one that I felt like we hadn't answered. A parent asked if a student doesn't qualify, but yet we believe that the child is gifted, what happens then?
So there is an appeals process where we will look at the factors, and some of the factors that Mrs. Tepper mentioned is we'll look at some of their test scores, their teacher recommendations, other factors that might show RENSTAR test scores. We might look at a variety of other measures. And then we take like their IQ score of the test that they take, and we try to match up with what that score said with some of the areas that we looked at, some of those other things there. So we try to look at the whole picture of the child a little bit there, but there is sometimes where an appeal will go through on that process there, but that's no guarantee to go in there. It's a case by case when we look at some of those scenarios.
And we don't retest. So in that same year. Now the following year, a student could potentially test. Correct, Dr. Roberts? Did I say that accurately?
Yes.
Okay.
Any of my teachers, did you guys see any questions that you could jump on that we might have missed? Try to summarize.
There was one I was going to jump in. Just we do require that you test for the GATE program with our school psychologist in our district. There was a question about if you've been identified as gifted in a different district, is that acceptable? So we do require that you test with us.
And I saw a question about students and mixing with the other students and how they're structured. We did have a slide about structure, but they are with their GATE cohorts for ELA, social studies, and science, but they are with other students for their electives, PE and math levels, and if we were on campus during lunch and before school, after school, but we'll see how that goes. But they are only with their GATE cohorts for half of their school day.
And I'm just going to jump in on that. Hi, sorry about the tech glitch earlier. So I was able to join through another device. I also, besides being a teacher in the GATE program, I also have 2 children who went through the program as well. One is a senior in high school and the other is a junior in high school. And the time that they spent in GATE and working with other students in GATE and then being able to go into high school where there was this dispersal, there's just been a really nice transition of friends that came from GATE and then also openness to friends elsewhere. So just, I've seen a really, really nice transition to high school with all of our GATE students. So I just want to put that out there as well.
Just the one last one, the cohort size. We have classes that range from 30 to 38 in some. So it varies year by year depending on the number of students. We try to get as many as we can possible, but some of these class sizes match up what the general population class sizes are, but they do go up to 36, 37, 38 in some classes depending, but down to 30 as well. So it just varies on the year to year. In 6th grade, we usually try to take a little bit more because sometimes kids do matriculate out of the program at times. So there is a few of those, but they move or some other stuff there. So we try to help keep our numbers up there.
I see a couple more questions on the testing, like people are asking if you get the detailed report on the IQ, and they're asking if there's any way to prepare for the test.
The overall score, we can, if you reach out, we can give you the overall score. We don't break it give you the super detailed type thing. And as for the test, we don't give much information about that. It's just it's an IQ test, and that's about what we can give you on that, because we want to keep the validity of the test as much as possible on that.
And I
So-
just wanted to echo what Ms. Peck said. I have a high schooler in the pre-IB classes, and it feels very well prepared by the GATE program. And also what I love the most is he hasn't lost his love of learning, which I think he got through the GATE program. And it's not just like a drill and kill philosophy at all. He still reads in close detail things and has a real inquisitive side that hasn't diminished by burnout. So, and also as far as integrating in the rest of the campus, I think as the kids go from 6th to 7th and 8th, they get more comfortable venturing outside their little cohort, especially through their electives. My older son was in music and created really strong bonds through the music program, but also PE and math. You start to meet a lot more kids, and those relationships become stronger as the kids get more confident.
Great point. I also, Dr. Roberts, there's a question. I think we've hit all of the questions. I'm just scrolling through them one more time. Is this we recorded this, correct? So
Yes,
a parent missed the first half.
So it's recorded, and we will place it on the A-Right GATE tab. So there's a tab on our website, the A-Right website. And under that GATE tab, I will put the recording of this session tonight. Just one last question, and then we're going to wrap it up here. I think the test is about 30 minutes long. Am I correct on that? Yeah, so the test is about 30 minutes long, and that's about what they'll take from there. So I just want to thank you for coming this evening, spending about an hour with us, getting to know a little bit more about the program. If there's some other stuff that we can help you out with, please feel free to reach me at my email, and that's mroberts@lvusd.org. And you can find that on our website as well. I could have put that on the slide, but forgot to do that. But yeah, please feel free to reach out. We'll try to get back to you and help out with that information. And thank you for being here this evening. Thank you to my teachers for spending an extra hour this evening here, explaining the program that you guys do such a fantastic job with. And Aaron, thank you for all your support that you do for the community, the GATE community, and getting the kids together. I know that they love all the outside activities and support that you guys provide. So thank you for being here this evening, and please reach out and have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.